Hello students, myself Rahul Kotkar, and today here we have to discuss the mechanical properties of fluid. It's lecture number 3. In the previous lectures we studied about the basic properties of fluids, then pressure due to liquid column, absolute pressure, Gauss pressure, atmospheric pressure, and their expressions. Okay, in this lecture we have to study the very important topic related to the hydrostatics, that is called hydrostatic paradox. So hydro means liquid, statics means stationary, and paradox means contradictory statement. Okay, it's very simple. Hydrostatic paradox means that is the liquid when at the rest shows the contradictory behavior, means which is not expected. Beyond expectation it shows a behavior. Okay, for example, just we take from our day-to-day life example. Without studying a single day, he got a marks 100 out of 100 in physics. Okay, you observe in this statement, what is that? Without study to get the marks 100 out of 100 is not possible. But what is the statement here? Without study a single day, that a particular student get a marks 100 out of 100. Okay, and this is a very contradiction. So in this manner the liquid also shows the contradictory behavior, and that here we have to study in this hydrostatic paradox. So observe this figure. What you observe, first just read it. The figure show 3 container filled with the same oil. How will the pressure at the reference line compare? Okay, here the 3 containers are given to you, which are having a different shapes. Let this container also contains the same oil in each. Okay, but they have a different shapes, as well as the liquid containing in them, means oil containing in them, is also having a different mass. And now they ask us, at any reference line, if suppose I am drawing this reference line like this, at this reference line how much the pressure will be acting. Okay, what is the value of pressure in each vessel, okay, at this reference line? So what is your answer? You can observe above this line there is the maximum part of liquid is there. Here the very few liquid is there, and in this case the liquid is also in between both. So you can say the more pressure will be acting due to this vessel, okay, above the reference line. It's our observation, but fact is what? It is not possible. No much value of pressure is there. Okay, each vessel shows the same liquid level, means same pressure acting at the bottom. So now observe this diagram. Okay, where is the maximum pressure? Means there are A, B, C, D are the 4 vessels are there which are connected to each other. Okay, and at the base of which vessel maximum pressure is created or acting. So as you observe here, you can see that the C vessel is having a more broadness, okay, and having a more liquid as compared to A, B, D. So might be possible that at this particular bottom of the sea the maximum pressure will be acting, but it's the wrong. Okay, this hydrostatic paradox says us the equal pressure will be acting at the bottom of each vessel. Okay, means, okay, it will be shows us the shape of the vessel containing the liquid does not affect the pressure. This is known as hydrostatic paradox. Okay, means whatever it may be the shape of your liquid vessel, Okay, and how much the liquid it will contain, that will not matter. So that is called as hydrostatic paradox. Okay, whatever it may be your shape. Okay, here you observe the shape is different as similar to this one. Okay, all these are having a four different shapes and having a different containers. Okay, but the liquid is same, mass is also different, but what is the common in them? The common thing is that they have a equal height of liquid filled inside that particular tubes. Okay, that tube contains the liquid up to a certain height h. Okay, so next, the vessel of different shapes holding the different amount of liquid. Okay, what is the meaning of this? That is, the different amount of liquid means what? That is simply your weight of the liquid up to the same height. Remember this word. Okay, up to the same height, the same pressure is recorded at the base of each of the vessel. Okay, understood? Okay, listen carefully again. What we can say here, if the liquid container having a different shapes, they may hold the different amount of liquid also, but the liquid should be filled in them of same height. So at that time you can observe that the same pressure will be recorded at the base of each vessel. Okay, at the bottom of each vessel the same pressure will be recorded. Okay, so what is the reason behind that, why it should be happen? So for that you can observe these two diagrams, and what is the thing observed here? Okay, let's suppose we consider this is the liquid vessel, say as to C observed in the diagram. Okay, what happens, this liquid present here exerts the pressure, as you know very well. Okay, if suppose this is the wall of the container, this is the liquid present in the container, so this liquid exerts the normal force per unit area, that is called pressure. Okay, so the liquid exerts the normal force on a wall of the container. When it exerts the force on the wall of the container, according to the Newton's law, the equal and opposite force will be acting on it, and that will I show here like this. This is the wall of container, this is the force exerted by liquid. Okay, so reply to that one. Okay, I will consider this is the reaction force, okay, which is known as a normal reaction force. Now in this liquid container, this is the normal force acting to the force exerted by liquid, so we will make its perpendicular component. This is the horizontal component, this is the vertical component. Okay, so horizontal component of force, vertical component of force. So in case of normal reaction force, it have a two components, one is called horizontal component and other is called vertical component. Okay, at the same time, okay, this occurs along, suppose, the left side of the surface. Okay, actually this diagram is a two-dimensional. Basically in three-dimensional, this container having a normal force acting like this everywhere. Okay, so in that case what we will call, so normal reaction force is acting there, and this normal reaction force is suppose along this side of container. At the same time we will talk about this one also. So what happens, same diagram you can observe, means what, this is the normal reaction force. Okay, this normal reaction force has a two components. Okay, and now what happens, this normal reaction component along horizontal and this normal reaction component along horizontal cancels each other or balance each other. Okay, this can be occurs for everywhere, for this point also. If you consider the point here also same thing occurs. Okay, and this horizontal component balances each other. As the horizontal component balance each other, then what we will consider? So we consider here the vertical components. Okay, means what? Horizontal component balances this normal reaction. Okay, second, who remains now? Only the vertical components. So the vertical components will balance, just a minute. Vertical component balances the weight of the liquid exerted here, like this. So what happens? All the liquid present here or in this portion get balanced by this vertical force or vertical force due to the normal reaction, and only the force due to this column will be exerted at the bottom. Okay, means what? The force acting per unit area on this particular case or vessel. So what happens? Only the liquid present in this column will exert the force at the bottom, and that's why, okay, that is the reason, okay, why we observe the less value of pressure in this bottom. Okay, and in similar manner same thing will be occurs for what? For the other vessels, say as to like this. Okay, here also what happens? This liquid exerts the normal reaction force. Okay, the response to that, the normal reaction force is acting. Okay, this will again divided into the horizontal and vertical component. This horizontal component get balanced by other horizontal component. The vertical force is acting at the bottom only. Okay, and that's why the less area occupying also exerts the same pressure. So in this manner we can say that the vessels of different shape having a different amount of liquid in it, okay, but filled up to the same height, the same pressure is recorded at the base of each vessel. Okay, means what is the compulsory condition here? Whatever it may be the liquid, okay, for same type of liquid, if you fill the liquid up to the same height in a vessels of different shape, so what you observe? You observe that the same pressure is recorded at the bottom. Okay, so friends, in this way, this is about your hydrostatic paradox. Next topic, that is a Pascal's law. Okay, what is a Pascal's law? So Pascal's law states that pressure applied at any point of an unclosed fluid at rest is transmitted equally and undiminished to every point of the fluid and also on the walls of container, provided the effect of gravity is neglected. Okay, what is the meaning of this statement? Okay, if suppose we consider this is the liquid container, or it may consider that it have a gas. Okay, you observe there are many gauge pressures are applied to this container. Okay, now you observe there this balloon is present there. This balloon is useful to use the balloon is used to apply the pressure or produce a pressure inside this tank. So as you're going to produce the pressure in the tank, what we can say? In that case, we will consider here, okay, as you apply the force here, so what happens? That force will be, according to the Pascal's law, what I am going to say, listen carefully. According to the Pascal's law, pressure applied at any point of an unclosed fluid at rest, the fluid must be at rest. It's transmitted equally. What happens? That pressure applied will transmitted equally to the every point of the fluid, everywhere. Okay, also on the walls of container. Also it exerts the same force on the walls of containers also. And the pressure will be get distributed everywhere in the container equally without undiminished. Undiminished means what? Without distribution. It's equal pressure. For example, if I am providing the 10 rupees to 10 students, so what happens? The 1 rupee get divided to each one. But if I am providing 10 rupees and even 10 rupees are divided to each one, so that is what? Undiminished. Okay, how it is? Don't ask. Okay, simple, means each one get 10 rupees, then what? It is undiminished. Okay, then next thing means what we observe in this case. In this case we observe that the pressure will be exerted at each. Suppose here the 10 Newton pressure is acting at this bulb, so at that time, if suppose initial readings of this pressure gauge are suppose 20, okay, each pressure gauge the value of 20 here. So as each pressure gauge the value of 20 Newton per meter square, okay, or 20 Pascal, so at that time, if I am applying the extra pressure of 10 Newton per meter square, so what happens? Each meter now shows the value of 30, 30, 30. Means what? There is a rise by 10 in each value of gauge meters, okay, or pressure meters. So in this manner, this is the thing we have to observe experimentally here also. Okay, this is the explanation about Pascal's law. Now its experimental proof. So let we consider here, for experimental proof of Pascal's law, we consider the vessels which is filled with incompressible fluid. Fluid is incompressible means what? It cannot be compressed. Its density remains constant. So what you observe in this container, this container having 4 frictionless arms. Okay, means what? A, B, C, D are the 4 frictionless pistons. Okay, you can observe in this diagram, A, B, C, D are the 4 arms. They have a frictionless pistons. Then A, 2A, 3A and A by 2 are the area of cross sections of A, B, C and D respectively. Okay, so listen carefully, observe neat. Okay, you observe there the diagram shows A, 2A, 3A, A by 2 are the area of cross sections of this 4 arms, okay, having a pistons. Then when you apply the force on piston A, all other pistons are moves outward. Simple one. As you apply the force here, so what happens? Because of the Pascal's law, or according to the Pascal's law, the pressure at any point of enclosed fluid is fluid at rest, okay, transmitted equally and undiminished to every point of the fluid and the walls of container. And what happens? Due to that pressure, they will exert the pressure along this particular pistons from inside or from liquid side. And so what happens? They will starts to move, means these 4 frictions will be pistons will be starts to move outward, okay, as it exerts the pressure from inside. Okay, so what happens here? In order to keep all the pistons in their original positions, the forces should be required 2F, 3F and F by 2, okay, respectively. Means what we have to do, we have to keep these pistons at their original places. We will not going to move them, okay, or we will not allow to move them outside. Okay, understood what I am saying? We apply the force capital F on piston A, the pistons B, C, D moves outside, but what we have to do, we have to keep them at their own places. Means we are not allowed to change the place of the pistons B, C and D. Then how much force we have to apply? We have to apply the force 2F, 3F and F by 2, okay, as shown in figure respectively. So for that, the pressures acting on all the pistons, okay, so PB be the pressure acting on piston B, which can be given by force divided by cross section area. What is the force acting? The force acting should be 2F, and how much the area? 2A. So therefore F divided by A, and that is what? P. Okay, same here again. In case of C, we apply the same formula. The 3F be the value of pressure acting, force acting, and 3A be the value of area of cross section. So therefore finally we got the answer P, that is the pressure. Similarly, in case of D pistons, again we have a same relation and we got the answer P. Means what we can say, the equal pressure will be exerted. Okay, this will shows us the pressure applied on piston A is transmitted equally to each piston. Okay, because each one shows the B, C, okay, at piston C, at piston D, at piston B, the equal value of pressure as similar to the piston A. Okay, now the question in your mind, from where this 2F, 3F, F by 2 forces are comes, okay, and how we'll consider them. So friends, it's the experimental observation. There they observe that the force F is acting, then we have to act 2F, 3F and F by 2 force on piston B, C and D respectively. So this is the Pascal's law. Remember the statement carefully. Okay. Next point. Applications of Pascal's law. So what are the applications of Pascal's law? One is called hydraulic lift. Other is called hydraulic brakes. So hydraulic lift and hydraulic brakes are the two applications of Pascal's law. We are going to now study the hydraulic lift. What is a hydraulic lift? So this lift is used to lift the heavy object, example car, using a small force. The working of this machine is based on Pascal's law. You can observe the diagram. Okay, if suppose you have to lift the this big car, so how much the force you need? A very small force. You can observe in a service stations, okay, in case of the garages, this kind of instruments or this kind of facilities are provided there. This is known as a hydraulic lift. Okay, so what is this hydraulic lift? That here we have to discuss, but before that observe the phenomenon here. What happens? A small force acting on a small area will create a large force, and that will acting on a car and that will get lifted. So this is the application of Pascal's law in hydraulic lift. So it consists of what it consists. Okay, so it consists of a tank in the form of two cylinders connected by horizontal pipe, contains a fluid. Okay, you can observe here. What does it contains? It consists of the tank. Okay, here one tank is there and here another tank is there. So two tanks are there, and these two tanks are connected by horizontal pipe. They are connected by this small horizontal pipe. Okay, this tank contains the fluid. Let me consider that S1 and S2 be the pistons. Okay, S1 and S2 be the pistons 1 and 2 respectively. A1 and A2 be the area of piston 1 and 2 respectively. Okay, what is the A1? Be the area of piston 1 and A2 be the area of piston 2. What we have to consider here, or that is A1 should be less than A2, means the area of piston 1 should be less and area of piston 2 must be greater. Then F1 and F2 are the force on the piston 1 and 2. What is the F1? F1 be the force acting on piston 1 and F2 be the force acting on piston 2. So P1 and P2 be the pressure acting on piston 1 and 2. So as per the Pascal's law, what is that? It will shows us the pressure acting should be the same. So means what? P1 and P2 both are the same. As P1 and P2 are the same, so what is the formulas for pressure? That is a force divided by area. So therefore force acting on piston 1 to the area of piston 1 equals to force acting on piston 2 and area of piston 2. So therefore F2 is equals to how much the force acting on second piston? That can be given by F1 multiplied by A2 divided by A1. So as you observe there, A1 having a less area as compared to A2, so obvious force F2 should be greater than F1. Okay, means what? The small force F1 on piston 1 produces the large force F2 on piston 2. Okay, let's just observe how this expression will becomes and how we can explain it. So as you observe this formula, okay, then it will be results into this formula. So what is the relation here? As A1 is less as compared to A2. Okay, means A2 should be greater and A1 should be less. So therefore what happens? A1 is less, so but obvious A1 and A2, as you write this one, F2 multiplied by A1 is equal to A2 multiplied by F1. Okay, so in that case A1 is smaller, then F2 should be greater. Okay, because they are inversely proportional to each other. As they are inversely proportional to each other, it will be shows us, okay, the amount of pressure acting should be greater at this amount of force acting is greater in case of piston 2 as compared to piston 1.